Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host today, Dave Kerpen, serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and hopefully friend and to many. And I'm delighted to have you here. We have people from all over the world, including just a few. We have Toronto and Sacramento, California, and Guatemala and Martinique and the Netherlands, one of my favorite countries in the world because their official color is orange. Many people all over the world, and I welcome you, and I welcome my co-host for today's webinar, Bill Prater, who has made a great career out of helping businesses to scale. And Bill will tell you a little bit more about himself in a moment. But first, I want to let you guys know, as with all of my webinars, we're giving away free books, copies of The Art of People. The only way to win is to tweet or Instagram or share on LinkedIn with the hashtag #GetOnTheScale. So start tweeting, start gramming, start LinkedIning, not a verb, but I just made it one, and use the hashtag #GetOnTheScale, and hopefully we will attract a lot of entrepreneurs and also people that are looking to lose weight. I happen to fit into both categories, so there you go. And without further ado, Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you, my friend.
Okay, so I'm going to start sharing a screen. With good luck, we are in fact sharing a screen. Are we not?
We're good.
We're good. Okay, so the way Dave and I have got this set up is I'm going to spend about 20 minutes talking about the first of 3 of the 5 ways to scale your business. And mine will be, let's call it a little at the strategic level. And then Dave will take the second 2 parts and we'll get really down and dirty about a couple of key points, specifically how to get resources assembled. And second, once you get those resources, including human resources, how to delegate. So let's get going with what I had in mind. So the agenda for the first part will be, first, who's going to benefit? Looking at the chat, clearly the people that are here are exactly the kind of people that Dave and I expected to show up. Second, I'll give you a little bit deeper dive into myself and what I've done over the last 20 years or so. I'll give you a promise. Specifically, what I mean by that is what can you expect to get out of this next 45 minutes to an hour. Then I'll give you some proof of what the 3 topics that I'm going to talk about, how they work. Second, what mechanically is involved with it, how does it work? And then second, I'll get into why does it work so well. Then we'll go to next steps, and that'll be kind of the handoff at that point between Dave and myself. So first, who will benefit? Well, we're focusing today on entrepreneurs and small business owners. So solopreneurs to small business owners. And what we're doing is we're going to focus in on people who want to increase what I call the triple bottom line, specifically revenue, cash flow, and business value. In other words, what can the business, what's it worth? What can it be potentially sold for? While at the same time reducing your own personal effort. So why listen to me? My name is Bill Prater, and I've actually been working with the same people for more than 20 years, because prior to that, I owned an investment banking firm, which I sold in 1999. And today, what I do is teach, coach, and train and mentor business owners and entrepreneurs. Overall, the things that I really focus in on is the increase in the market value of my businesses. Now, over the years, I've written a couple of books. This particular one called Scaleology, Dynamic Growth, How to Turn Your Business into a 24/7 ATM. I'm going to give you the access to this book when we get to the end of this first 20 minutes. So what's the promise? Well, the promise is I'd like you to think about what I call a slice in time. So think about, you've implemented what Dave and I are going to be talking about. It's in place in your business. And then you wake up first thing Monday morning and you open up your computer, open up your access to your calendar, if you will, get your first beverage, and then you'll feel a kind of a smile go across your face, because at the first time ever, you're running a fine-tuned, well-oiled, smooth-running machine. And on top of that, last month was the best month you've ever had. Everybody's productivity, including your own, is better than it's ever been. And your business is growing faster than ever. And all you have to do is make the coffee. Now, where's the proof of all of this? Well, I want to show you a couple people, and I'll give you a little deeper dive into the third. So here's Natalie. She's got a little teeny business. It's herself and 3 other people. And she says that with the personal mentoring of Bill Prater and the help of the Scaleology model, the model you're going to see this morning, she has doubled her revenue and cash flow this year. Now, this year is 2020. And now she has the highest performing, most cohesive team she's ever had. Now, to put it in perspective, even though she's got a little teeny business, she generates about 5 million at the top line with 4 people. Here's Craig Barber. Craig Barber owns a printing company. They're exclusively an online printer. So think about looking for calendars or looking for booklets. These people do that. They rank 1 or 2 in the world on Google for these certain search terms. He says that using Bill's model over the last 27 months, each and every one of those months, that's up until now, through August 2020, it's been the best month he's ever had, and he's loving it. Now, those are 2 relatively small companies. Natalie's around 5 million and Craig's is around 30 million. Now we're going to talk about a bigger company. And the reason I'm doing this, I want you to be able to internalize that what we're talking about is applicable for you if you're a solopreneur all by yourself, or if you've got 200, 300, 400 people working for you. So when I first got introduced to this company, Snelson, they were doing about $10 million in revenue. Now, this is a construction company. 10 million is a lot of money unless you're in construction. In their case, they were doing natural gas pipelines. Then it's a teeny little business. Worse than that, they'd been at that same spot for years and years and years, and were just barely eking out a $300,000 profit by the end of the year. 300,000 may be a lot of money, but when you've got yourself and 4 other partners, there's not much to share. John told me that his business was worth about 2.4 million when I first met him, and that they were located in Northwest Washington state, and that he personally is working 60 to 75 hours. Now, what I saw when I first met John, though, was, in addition to a guy that worked his fingers to the bone, was when I first walked into his offices, there were 6 people lined up in sort of like a doctor's waiting room. And these were his key managers waiting to see the guy. So when I walked up to his assistant, her name was Kathy, she said, "Those people are waiting for John, but you're free to go in right now." So I walked in and I said, "John, you look like you're the bottleneck in this business. Who are those people?" And he said, "Well, those are my direct reports." So literally they were prepared to sit there and wait for a full hour before they had a chance to talk with John, the superhero, the guy that needed to do it all, make all the decisions. I worked with John for about 6.5, almost 7 years. And after using the model you're going to see today, his business had grown to 225 million. He was generating a $40 million profit, and he actually sold his business for 240 million. Now, for most of us, 240 million divided by 4 is pretty good payday. They were all over the United States and Canada by that point in time, and John was basically a hands-off owner. As a result, he was able to sell the business and no longer be involved. It's clean break, if you will. So here's what I saw when I first saw John. And I don't think any of you, I didn't see it on the chat anyway, have a $10 million construction company. But what I saw is that John did not have a differential mindset. But what I mean by that is he saw himself as a company that responded to the environment. So when there was an opportunity to bid on a job, he did that. He was dealing with what I call a whack-a-mole business management system, meaning that when an opportunity came up, he tried to get it. And when a problem came up, he tried to solve it. John was playing superhero. I gave you an illustration of how obvious that was and the way he had his waiting room running. He believed, and a lot of us get caught up in this, that the harder you work, somehow or another, you get more. Well, that the opposite is absolutely true. So when you've got the model that you're going to be seeing today, the demonstration of the model called Scaleology, after you've got it installed, you don't have to settle for results. You don't have to tell everybody what to do. You don't have to micromanage everything. You don't have to work ungodly hours. You don't have to hope and pray that everybody does their job. You don't have to make every decision. You have to fight every fire. And you don't have to try and buy every new shiny penny, new idea, new hot thing that comes up. All you really have to do when you've got this model going in your business is just show up for one meeting a month. So how does this all work? Well, if you get out of the whack-a-mole space, most businesses operate with some sort of an annual plan. Then they put it into a process, a method, a system of management, and they make that all happen. Now, if you go and type in business management, let's use the term software. I did it yesterday. There were 121 million hits in Google for business management software. So how in the world you're going to pick one of those? And then producing the results. Now, most companies, unfortunately, operate with a wish and hope system, meaning that you hire people, you give them their jobs, and you hope they do it well. So the point is, and what we all need to do is figure out what the best way to put together a plan is, and what the best possible process to have, and what the best way to produce the results that you want is. So let's go through and look at the Scaleology model. I'm going to show you how unbelievably simple it is. And I've already showed you how it scales from little teeny businesses, solopreneurs, all the way up to billion-dollar businesses. It works in all sorts of those. The first place I want to look is at the whole concept of producing things. So what the model gives you is a way to have every single person on your team focusing on goals. So they've got a laser-like focus on the commitments they've made to you and the rest of the team. And the way that works out in reality is that you'll see every single person on your team producing results at around a 70 to 75% success rate. Why? Because we're laser focused on individual goals. The second part of helping your team, yourself included, produce is doing what I call growth coaching. Now, I began at IBM. I know all about annual performance reviews and performance planning and all that sort of thing. And I basically say, whatever the industry is doing, if you want to do that, you'll be an average player in your niche. So instead, let's get A players, the absolute top players in individual jobs, bring those on board, and then coach them through a growth cycle, meaning that you're going to meet with them whenever they need it, daily, weekly, monthly, once a year, and help them grow. All of that together in the Scaleology model. It has three foundational pieces, and we're talking here about developing a team of high producers. In the process area, over the last 20 years, I've simplified business management to just a fine art with three pieces. And the first one is to use what we call a vital driver dashboard. Now, if you've got a business like Natalie's doing 5 million, the vital dashboard takes one piece of paper. Typically today, that one piece of paper is on a computer screen, or it's projected on the wall on a big screen, whatever. But it could be literally one piece of paper. It could be a chalkboard. So one vital driver dashboard. If you've got a huge company, $1 billion company, you use one piece of paper, one dashboard called a vital driver dashboard with, the truth is in the name, the vital drivers. Typically, most companies can operate extremely successfully with 10 to 15 vital drivers. A lot of them are self-evident, but most of them vary a bit depending on the kind of niche that you're in. The core of the whole Scaleology model is the concept of accountability. So the first one, the vital driver dashboard, is around team accountability. So it's the entire company or the entire marketing group or the entire accounting group. So it's team dashboard. The second is accountability. This is individual accountability. I call this authentic accountability because what you don't want to do as the owner is you don't want to tell people what to do and then demand that they give you proof. All we need to do instead is have people make authentic commitments and deliver them 70% of the time. It's called authentic accountability. The third thing is new commitments. So 3 pieces: vital driver dashboard, team goals, accountability, each person reporting in on how they did on their goals. Now here's the magic. We don't need stories. We don't need drama. We don't care if somebody didn't get something done. There's only 2 answers: yes or no, hit or miss. That's it. Now, if you've missed a goal, 30% of the time, people do miss goals. That's fine because we know that their goals are at the right level if they're missing a few of them. So then we want new commitments. And these new commitments have to be in a certain form. These meetings happen once per month. This is I said, go to 1 meeting a month, this single meeting. So these commitments have to have some specific measurable component, like landing 3 new prospects. And then it needs a due date. And the due date needs to be on or before the next monthly meeting. Altogether, that's the system part of the Scaleology model, the system part of the Scaleology model. We move up into the planning area. There's only a couple, 3 things we need to do. The first one is to have a vision of the future. And this vision needs to be one that projects out 5, maybe 10 years in the future. And you want it to be absolutely unbelievably outrageous because you want to reject the people that don't believe the vision and attract the people that do. Second, you need a strategy. Now, a strategy is deciding what you're going to do, what niche you're going to be in, what sort of an organization you're going to have, how you're going to address the market. It's a strategy. It's a certain technique or method that we use in Scaleology to put it together. But the core of this is the game plan. And the game plan, if you think about, some of you know what American football looks like, and you've looked on the sideline, you see a coach with a big piece of paper, that's a game plan. So we produce a game plan. And the game plan, in simple terms, is deciding the vital drivers and putting in annual goals for each of the vital drivers in the game plan. Altogether, that's a mindset. So 3 pieces: mindset, system, and team represents the entire model. Now, the question is, why does this work so well? I'm going to get a little deeper in this in a moment, but the core of this is alignment. All of this is aligned. What that means is that on a day-to-day basis, all the action that's taking place in your business at the team level, all that work is aligned totally with your vision. That produces an environment for a platform for extremely rapid scaling, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, 10xing the size of your business on an annual basis. So it's an integrated system called Scaleology, 3 parts, specifically team, system, and mindset. Team, system, and mindset. So why does it work so well? Well, because frankly, it's simple to understand, it's simple to implement. There isn't any more to it than I just showed you. Everybody in your business can implement the process from day one. What I mean by that is day one. So today is day one. So you can literally get this launched immediately. Now, over time, you'll get better and better and better at running the system, but you can implement it from day one. In fact, People that haven't been to Wharton or Stanford Business School, et cetera, actually do better because they don't have any prejudices in their way. The management system that I just showed you in a $1 billion business is going to work in every team, every department, every branch office, every project, every initiative, all over the place. There's individual set meetings taking place. The vision, strategy, and plan for the future are embraced by every shareholder. Why? Because you've made it outrageous and it's all your own. People that love it and are attracted to it will come in and join you there with it. The people that think you're full of it will stay away, and that's exactly what you want. Your business will never outgrow the model. I gave you several examples, but as your business doubles, triples, grows by 10 times, you use the same model. You don't change the model up at all. Each person gets in the habit of committing and delivering on time 70% of the time. We frankly manage to the 70% level. You only have to go to one meeting a month. I mean, literally, I showed you the one meeting. You, the owner, go to one meeting a month. That's why I mentioned John Norton was able to run Snelson going to one meeting per month, and winning becomes a habit. So that's kind of it. So what's the outcome? Back to our slice in time. You'll wake up the first thing Monday morning, sip your cup of coffee, look around your business and see that everything is in fact running as a fine-tuned, well-oiled, smooth running machine. And last month was your best. Everybody's productivity is at a 70% level. Your business is growing super fast. And all you have to do is make the coffee. In fact, I use a term called make the coffee management. It's sort of a graduation ceremony when the owner moves from super hands-on to the person making the coffee. So here's the next steps. First thing is I finished the book. I showed you the book. It's the Dynamic Growth book. And all you have to do is go to getbillsnewbook.com, and you'll have access to the brand new book. And number two is let's get tactical now with Dave. So I've given you the kind of the top strategic levels. Dave's going to take us into a deep dive. We're going to talk about assembling resources, number one. And number two, how do you go about delegating resources, including human resources, to somebody else? And Dave, it's your turn to take it over. I'm going to release my screen share. You, sir, have the ball.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. And to those of you that are still hanging with us, I am really excited to spend the next 15 minutes or so with you. And then we're going to take Q&A. We're also going to give away some prizes along the way. So make sure you use that hashtag #GetOnTheScale. And without further ado, I'm going to share my screen now. And here we go. That is all right. So 5 simple ways to scale up your business. I'm going to focus on 2 here. I'm going to focus on delegation and resource management. We're going to talk about how to delegate and offload effectively, as well as how to plan, schedule, and allocate resources in the best possible way. Thomas Edison said, time is really the only capital that any human being has, and the only thing he can't afford to lose. I couldn't agree more. The good news is we all have the same exact amount of time. I promised I'd give away some books. Our first book goes to Lisa Lorenk. Congratulations, Lisa Lorenk. Thanks for posting with that hashtag. And if you haven't won a book yet, the only way to win is to post with the hashtag #GetOnTheScale. Let's talk about delegation. Here are my 4 rules for delegation. First, have the right mindset. Bill talked a little bit about mindset in his piece. And the reality is, none of this means anything if you don't have the right mindset. I have met so many entrepreneurs who really aren't entrepreneurs. They're small business owners, and they are so stuck working in the business and thinking that they are so essential to do all of the work in the business that they can't step away and work on the business. If that is describing you, the very first thing that you've got to do is work on that mindset and understand that if you have built a business that relies on you to do everything, you have not built a business. You have built a job for yourself. If you do not want to have another job and you want to have an actual business that grows and scales, you've got to have the mindset that things do not need to be done by you. Things can be delegated. And even if people won't do them quite the same way you would, even if they won't do them as well as you would, they can still do them well enough to build a very nice business. Second, you've got to understand yourself. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? When it comes to delegation, you don't necessarily need to delegate everything, but you certainly want to delegate those tasks that you are good at so that you can focus on the stuff that you really love and the stuff that you're really, really strong at. For example, I'm a sales and marketing person. I cannot do finance ever. So no matter how small my businesses are, I might have a 1-person business and a 100-person business. I'm always going to outsource the financials. I'm going to always delegate the financials because that's just not my area of expertise. But if you're financially minded, you might want to delegate the marketing and the sales. And use tools to make delegation easier, which we're going to jump into in just a moment. In terms of understanding yourself, I think self-awareness is really, really key. I am a huge fan of the Enneagram as a personality assessment system, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But there are lots of different systems to help you better understand yourself. Strength finders, Myers-Briggs, DISC. The list goes on and on. To me, it's a little bit less about which tool you use, although I prefer the Enneagram, and more about the fact that you are digging deep and understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, your blind spots, and understanding how much bandwidth you have. What is the opportunity cost of you spending your time on any given task versus assigning and delegating that task? You also have to understand your team, understand what their skills are, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and what you need to help them delegate in order to maximize productivity. I mentioned this concept of working in the business versus working on the business, but a true entrepreneur is somebody that spends their time creating systems, strategies, and the vision, i.e. conducting the orchestra, whereas so many business people struggle with spending too much time operating many positions in the business. Well, I'm the only person. I got to clean the floors. I got to do the sales. I got to do the finance. I got to do everything. No, you don't. You don't. We're going to talk about how to delegate, but you really don't have to be the person that does everything. And think about it like this. Would you rather be trying to play 6 different instruments or conducting the orchestra? If you're playing 6 different instruments at the same time, how well is that orchestra going to sound? How is that going to go? Versus being the conductor that has terrific people playing each instrument for you. Let's talk about tools. The reality is, it's easy for me to say delegate. It's harder for me to give you all of the specific tools. So there are lots and lots of tools out there. Here are just 4 that I wanted to highlight for you guys. Lots of different project management tools. One that I like is Cantry. It lets you leave comments on cards, getting lots of notifications the way that you want to get them, create detailed reports, and track progress. Stepshot is an all-in-one documentation tool. Zapier is a tool that I've used in a lot of my companies that automates and integrates across lots of different applications. And River is a team communication tool that turns your conversations into trackable tasks. Whichever tools you end up using, the idea is to use software and automation to simplify processes and to automate processes so that things get done without all of the manual back and forth. I mentioned the Enneagram. Here's just a quick snapshot on that because I am a big fan of it. The Enneagram has 9 different personality types. And so understanding what your personality type is, as well as what your team members' personality types are, is valuable. We've administered the Enneagram over 1,000 times now to team members across our different companies, and we find it massively useful in delegating and managing people. For example, 3s are driven by achievement and recognition. I am a 3. So if you have a 3 that is working for you, you'll want to really drive him or her to achieve, and you'll want to recognize him or her extremely publicly. 2s are driven by connection and support. 2s love to know they're supporting the higher up. Really, really great to delegate tasks to it too. 7s are driven by excitement, new projects, new opportunities. 8s are driven by power and influence, and 9s are driven by interpersonal harmony. Great to have a 9 as a team lead, keeping the harmony amongst your team. Okay, it's time to do another giveaway. So I'm going to ask Sam from my team to choose one person who is using the hashtag #GetOnTheScale on either Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, your choice. And our next winner is Bill Tobin. Congratulations, Bill Tobin. Send me your info and I will get you out a free copy of the bestseller, The Art of People, 11 Simple People Skills that will get you everything you want. Let's talk about resource management. By the way, if you haven't won, one more chance to win a book. So keep those hashtags coming. Apprentice, which is the company I'm representing today, can help you delegate tasks, very high level tasks, as well as some lower level tasks. But as an example, you can use an apprentice or an intern or a part-time employee or a VA for scheduling, for research, for content creation, for prospecting, for analysis, for social media, for personal projects, for business development, and a whole lot more. The things that you should be doing on this list are minimal. What you enjoy most and what you're best at. Everything else, where possible, can and should be delegated. Quick plug for our firm. Apprentice matches entrepreneurs like you with the best, brightest, most talented college students on the planet to help delegate key tasks to a very, very high level, super smart person. A sample of just a few of the apprentices that we just brought on board. Chris is a government student at Harvard. Sarah is an applied mathematics student at Harvard. And Maisha is an economics major at Barnard at Columbia University. So if you want a super, super bright and talented person working for you for a lot less than you pay for them once they graduate, you can use the code GETONTHESCALE at chooseapprentice.com, or you can schedule a call with an apprentice. So get to know an actual apprentice using calendly.com/chooseapprentice. Like I said, if you mention Get on the Scale, we'll give you $1,000 off, completely waive the matching fee. Let's talk about resources. 3 resources. We all have them. There's really not a lot beyond this, right? There's time, there's money, and there's people. Let's talk about each. Time. Good news, we all have the same exact amount of time, 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year. Bad news, that runs out fast if you're using it poorly. So the challenge is, how can you use your time better? First and foremost, if you are not using a scheduling tool to make scheduling really easy, there is something up. So I would go to Calendly immediately, or another tool. There's a bunch of great tools. Some good friends working on calendar.com, but Calendly is the tool that I currently use, or delegate it to an assistant. But make sure you're using a tool to make scheduling really, really easy. In terms of blocking out your calendar, I think it's really important to block out times for yourself, thinking time, creative time, where you can actually work to get stuff done, where you're shutting off your phone, the no phone zone, putting your computer on airplane mode, actually thinking, writing, brainstorming, doing some of the creative work that's necessary to think big. That's really what a great CEO does. create office hours for the folks that can be time wasters. I love, love, love office hours. I get, one of the bad things about being as out there in social media as I am, is I get tons and tons of requests from people that want to meet with me. And I want to be kind to them. So I give them a link to my office hours. Every Thursday afternoon, I dedicate time to talking to anyone in the world that wants to meet with me. So the good news is I can still talk to anyone. By the way, that's how I met Bill, our co-host today, through my office hours. But the even better news is that it doesn't distract me from what I need to do day in and day out to build my businesses. And so many folks are slowed down by countless distractions. Distractions are your enemy when it comes to time management. Finally, I want you to think about your best hours to get things done. Some people get things done first thing in the morning, 7 a.m., 6 a.m. I've seen people that, some of the top entrepreneur friends that I have that start working at 4 a.m. Whatever works for you. Some people are late night owls. I put my kids to bed. Some of my best work is done between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. It's really, when it goes back to knowing yourself, it's really dependent upon what works best for you. What are your best hours to get things done? They may be during the sort of typical 9 to 5 time, but they may very well not be. Let's talk about money. Really basic resource. Every great CEO needs to have enough money in the bank to get things done. And the biggest objection I get when I say to people, to delegate, to hire people, to scale up their business, I don't have the money. I call BS on that, because if you don't have the money, it's your job to find the money, right? So do you need to raise money from friends and family? Do you need to raise money, depending on what you want to do? Do you need to raise money from angel investors? Do you need to raise money from venture capitalists? I don't know. But not having enough money is not an excuse for not hiring. How can you get creative? I'll give you an example. I didn't have enough money. We had made our first $1 million, but I still didn't, it felt like I still didn't have enough money with our first company, with Likeable Media. And so a friend of mine shared an experience that gave me a great idea. He started charging his clients in advance and offered them a prepaid discount. So I went back, I started doing that. Immediately I had lots of money in the bank, and that allowed me to hire more folks. So it's your job to make sure you have enough money in the bank. And if you don't, it's your job to fundraise or get creative to get enough money in the bank in order to scale up and hire people. So that gets to the people. So it's easy for me to say hire full-time people, the best people in the best seats to get the job done. But I know the reality is, again, some of you are going to say, well, Dave, I don't have the money for full-time people. Okay. And you can't fundraise. Okay, I'll buy that. Part-time. Great way in this economy to get the help you need, to get specialized help you need to grow. Interns. Pay folks minimum wage that are in college. Or you can use a program like mine, apprentices, and get really, really talented college students for less. And finally, if you're just starting out and you truly have no money and no access to capital, but there's a lot you need to get done, why not hire a partner? In other words, find somebody who's willing to become your business partner, who will work for equity, who you don't have to pay a dime. Again, no excuse for not bringing people on to help you scale up. Okay, we have our final prize winner here. And so it's your last chance to tweet or Instagram or share on LinkedIn with the hashtag #GetOnTheScale. And then in just a moment, I'm going to take your questions and answers from Bill and me. So post your questions in the chat or post your questions on social media, and we will take any questions that you have. Our final winner, actually, you know what I'm going to do? We'll do our questions first, keep you guys in suspense. So I'm going to announce a final winner in just a moment. But first, I'm going to take your questions. If you want to scale up your business, go to billpraterjr.com. If you want to get matched with a talented apprentice to help you delegate resources to a very highly talented person, go to calendly.com/choose apprentice to have a conversation. And speaking of conversations, let me open up right now and see if we have any questions here. Questions. Okay, here we go. We have Lisa is very excited, our first winner. So congratulations to Lisa, who is a fellow New Yorker. Very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Thank you, Lisa. We may not have any questions. I'm going to give you 1 more minute to ask questions. And if not, I will give away the grand prize in just a moment. Okay, we do have a question on social media from John, directly about Apprentice. I'm asking about the costs of Apprentice. I mean, it's all on the website on chooseapprentice.com, but I am very proud of the pricing that we've created in order to make this really, really high talent affordable for you folks. So definitely check out the pricing at chooseapprentice.com, and thanks for asking. All right, and without further ado, I do have a grand prize winner and not seeing more questions. So I am going to go back to this slide right here for you guys. And our grand prize winner is Mike Roselle. Congratulations, Mike Roselle. We're going to get you a book. And I want to thank Bill Prater for joining us today. Bill Prater of Scaleology, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Sam, from my team for helping set this up. And thanks most of all to all of you guys for watching. I appreciate you spending your very, very precious time with us today. And until next time, have a super, super likable rest of your day.